Welcome to the Sisterhood podcast. This podcast is hosted by The Other Side, a nonprofit based in New York whose mission is to create a cross-cultural exchange of dramatic storytelling among girls and gender-diverse youth. This program provides a space for awareness and global sisterhood, allowing youth to support each other. The Sisterhood podcast is a peek into the challenges, triumphs, and curiosity of students from countries like USA, India, Kenya, and more. Listen in for lessons that heal and connect youth and adults alike. If you care about global equality and creative expression, you've found your new favorite podcast. Listen in on our website, theothersidenyc.org, Spotify, or YouTube for full episodes of the Sisterhood podcast. Hi, my name is Melanie Kloss, and I'm the founder and executive director of The Other Side Intercultural Theater. I am so excited to launch our first podcast where we'll be hosting a conversation between students in New York City and in India. In the past, The Other Side has collaborated with the Voice of Evolution Radio to create these podcasts where we have a conversation between a student in one country and a student in another country. And we've been supported by Linda Lombardo. So thank you so much, Linda, for working with us over the years. And we're all really excited to have kind of evolved out of Voice of Evolution Radio. And now The Other Side will be hosting our own podcast. So we're excited to launch this kind of revised version of what we've done in the past. And we've had some amazing conversations with students in India, New York City, and in Kenya. So please give those a listen. And we're so excited to launch this 2021 version of our podcast, which is going to have more guests and more people from around the world that can share their perspective, especially during the global pandemic.
Hello, my name is Kiara. My pronouns are she, her. I live in New York City. I like to try new things and read. I'm passionate about girls and gender diversity, youth, having a safe space, because in my time in The Other Side, I realized how important it is for girls to have a safe space where they can be themselves and not be judged.
My name is Laltesh. I am from India, Uttar Pradesh district, Bulandshahr, Anupshahr. I am studying Vanasthali Vidyapeeth University in Rajasthan. I am part of Sisterhood Other Side program.
Hi, so my name is Mix Laffy, and my pronouns are they, them, theirs. I have been working at The Other Side for almost 2 years now, and I'm really happy to be joining in on the Sisterhood podcast and hear from two of my most favorite and most loved students and hear more about how they feel girls and gender diverse youth are so important in our world. And I'm really glad to give them a safe space to meet each other and talk in real time.
Have you ever helped someone you didn't know?
I did many times, but one incident I knew that when I was eighth class, when I went to school, I got a little child. He was going on another school, and like 4 or 5 young boys have a group, and he was passing road. Suddenly he got little bit incident. He got dirty clothes over and cow dung, and then I went. I got that little child and I washed him very well near my house, and I got late to my school. I thought, don't worry about it, you will got late, but first your duty is take care that boy, and because we are human, we have to take care other feelings and other people's, and that I got to finally very happinesses in my heart after that. And when I came home, then I got that boys group. I said, you never do on road like mischief. It's very bad, and someone life you lost if you did. And this they realize uh, her sorry them guilty, and they said, sorry dear, really sorry, I they take care these things. This happiness is a little different from other happinesses, because when we take care others people, we got in hide happinesses, like, oh, I did uh, one work, I have humanity to take care others. uh, that's why we got very different happinesses with different works. And I am part of Scout and Guides, so I have first duty to take care others peoples.
Scout and Guide is something in India which is kind of like a Girl Scout or Boy Scout that we have here. It's a similar kind of thing.
When you think of community, what do you have in mind?
A community, when I got word community, when I got idea, community is group of peoples which is connected together and one another. And they take care other one another and respect and be honest to each other, and they teach uh, right path to your partners and colleagues. And they like one is the best example of my school PPIC. uh, Really, it's a like second home for me. It is a very good example of community which teaches honesty, discipline, and respect to each other. It- and they focus on moral values to students and uh, parents and villages. I am also part of community, and we have to always things giving back. Like I got one thing, good thing, another place, and I got that I have to push that good quality to another person, like courage to person. Like it is the circle of good things and community. When when we learn one good things and one good point, it is our duty. We have to forward these things in another person. I have no more group of friends, but I have three friends. We are combination of two friends, like best friends, and we inspire to other girls. Those are discouraged for education. And uh, one example of my class is she don't want to learn further education like graduation, but we uh, we convince sorry I convince her, and she did 11th and 12th, and now she is studying in Noida, BSc nursing. She always thanks me, but I said I don't need thanks, but it's my duty, and we are people, we are close friends, so in friendship no thanks.
I have a question about that, Laltesh. When you were trying to convince her, did she have a reason why she didn't want to go for higher education? Like why, what was her challenge?
Her father want to marry her, like in 10th grade. But I went her home and I convinced her parents.
I think she's frozen, but she's frozen in such a beautiful smile. I love that. This frozen image.
Actually, I am curious about Kiara's answer to the same question. So, would you mind answering that question? Like, what or who, if anybody, has made you feel better about your self-esteem? And
You guys, like I remember before I used to be so insecure about myself. Like, I didn't like having my hair curly and going outside because of what people was going to say. But like now that after like a year or two of being in the other side, I feel way more comfortable with myself, because it's like, it doesn't matter what anybody has to think about me. What matters is how I feel about myself. And if I like having my hair curly outside, then nobody has to do with that, because that's how I feel comfortable. And I don't think anybody has a say on what makes me feel happy. So yeah, it was definitely you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, that makes me, I mean, I'm like such a sap, but it definitely makes me tear up, Kiara, because when I was younger, I mean, my parents, they both have really straight hair, and all my siblings have straight hair too. And so I definitely stuck out. And my parents would make, your typical jokes like, y ese pajón, or like, oh, you look like you stuck your hand in the electrical or whatever. Like, just the onslaught of typical curly hair jokes. You look like a poodle, you look all those things. And it hurts, and it makes you want to just really just like flat iron your hair just as much as you can, because you want to go to school and just like focus on your work. You want to hang out with your friends and not have someone make you feel like awkward about yourself. So you just kind of almost like protect yourself. When I was maybe, I don't know, maybe it was a couple of years ago, I had worked at a salon, and a lot of working at a salon is about appearance, and I definitely felt in a lot of ways that I stood out there. And, I was the only person on the team who wasn't like your typical white girl with like blonde hair or something. And I'll never forget, like, I literally got fired from that job. And I remember her telling me, this is a high-end salon. And I'm sorry, but when people walk in here, I don't think that's what they're getting from you. I don't think that's what they're going to see. And I don't want that to happen. Our image is really important. And I just think that, it's just really not a good fit. And I was so surprised. Like, I had never been fired in my whole life. Definitely never been fired for something like that. And I just like, in that moment, sorry if I get emotional, but in that moment, I couldn't have possibly imagined that like I could teach anything like this of such value to someone like you, Kiara. So that means so much to me, because there's a lot of times where you go through stuff like that and you just feel like so alone, or you feel like no one else is going to stick up for you or understand, or that you'll tell someone and they go, yeah, well, maybe you should just flat iron your hair, or, whatever. And so I really am just so grateful for you. And I'm really grateful that I'm able to teach you that.
How is your personality influenced by your culture?
Well, growing up, they taught me that my culture was where I'm from. Like, oh, you're from the Dominican Republic, so that's your culture. But I saw like more than that, but I never really got a solid explanation of what is your culture. So I think that my personality was influenced by my culture, because I learned from the people around me while growing up, like being in DR and seeing people be sometimes friendly to each other, or seeing people be rude and disrespectful. I feel like I picked up what I wanted to pick up from it, and what I think will make me who I am now. And I feel like I have learned that being compassionate about the people, even though I didn't see it growing up, I feel like it's something big and major for me, because I saw how people will react when other people will be disrespectful. They would like be rude. So I think that made me be who I am, because I didn't want to make other people feel how people that would be rude to them made them feel. I feel like it's such a complex question. I don't think there's ever a solid answer to a question like that, because it's like we all grow up around the same area. Like, oh, you live in the Bronx, and people have the picture that everybody that's from the Bronx is the same, because they grew up in the same environment. So it's like it's difficult to have to be mixed from two different cultures. Like, I grew up in DR and I grew up in the Bronx. It's not like I can pick one side, because I'm both. So it's like they definitely have things to like. I don't think it's very much because of like where you grew up, but I think it's more like of your values that your family gave you, like what you learned, what they taught you while you were growing up. So I feel like it's very much more independent than just the environment.
How do you love your community? Tell us about your role in the community.
For me, community is the people that surround you, the people that are there for you, or people that are not even there for you, just the people that are usually around you. So in my opinion, community is more of what you let it be to you. Like for some people, it might be their family, some people might be their school. But my role in my community is I really like to like help teens like me. Like I'm an activist for like teenagers with TAP. So usually I help with schools, getting police out of schools, stop making the crime system be part of the schools because that messes up children and their future. So I really do a lot of that, and I feel like that's the most important because as a student myself, I feel like it's not safe. If I feel like an environment in school is not safe for me, I wonder how it's gonna make other kids feel, younger or even older than me, like metal detectors and stuff like that. So I think that that's the most important when talking about community and people like me.
Awesome. And actually, I'd love to know more about that. You were saying that you really advocate for people your age. And I feel like people, I talk about this a lot as an educator when I talk about students, how, children have rights. Children very much have their own rights. And I think children oftentimes don't know that. And you kind of feel maybe like everyone else is in charge of you and that everyone else gets their opinion of you and you don't really get to voice that a lot. What was something that made you realize like you had that voice and that you could speak up?
When I first began, I learned that I always have the mindset that older people think that younger people just do not really have a say because they're young. So they're not wise according to their opinion because according to them, we're just little kids that we just live in life acting like we think we grown. But I don't think it's like that because you can be a little kid and have a big mindset. So I feel like I learned so much about how I really have rights. We all have rights. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that if I was outside and the police stopped me, it's not what the police wanted me to do. It's what I had the rights to do. So it was such a big impact on me because it's something that I realized that not a lot of people like me, not a lot of teenagers know. And it's like people, like kids really be out there and don't really know their rights or like what they're supposed to do in a specific situation. And it just hits a lot because I wish I could help them know their rights and what they can do, but they really don't. So, yeah.
Well, thank you. I think it's important. I think even in being someone that believes that, you make such a difference. Like just like Laltesh was saying, she was telling her friend about like going to school, and her friend's like, I can't do that, And I mean, to me, if I was in that position, I would definitely feel lost or feel like kind of helpless. Like there's really not much I can do to change her mind or change anyone else's mind. But just like Laltesh did, like sometimes you just take that action, you take that initiative and you like go to the parent's house or you like, just do the thing. But I think even just Laltesh being herself made a difference, just like you being yourself makes all the difference.
Tell us the advice or saying that makes you feel brave and confident.
I remember one day I was watching the news. It was a speech from Michelle Obama, and her quote was, "When they go low, we go high," or something like that. Yeah. And I feel like it impacted me and it made me confident because I learned that usually you don't have to go by what other people want you to go by. You don't have like just because other people want to see you down does not mean you need to let them in and give them the power to see you down. It's most definitely my decision. It's up to me because I'm my own person and I get to make my own choices in life. So it was definitely impactful because it's like you have you have the power to be the bigger person, or if you want to let the other person define you and what you get to do. So it made me feel more confident and brave because I learned that I get to make my own choices and I'm my own boss. Nobody has to tell me what I get to do, what I do.
Totally. Yeah, I know. I was just gonna say, right? Like such a snap-worthy moment.
When you see someone else being challenged, how does it make you feel?
I feel like when I see somebody else being challenged, it makes me feel like I want to help especially if I have experience in it, like if I know something that might help them, I want to help them. But at the same time, I feel like I think about when I was in their position, because I'm really empathetic. So I feel like if I was in their position, what would I feel? What would I want somebody to tell me? What did I need in that moment that will make me feel better? That will make me realize that I'm bigger than the issue or my challenge because I can overcome it. So it makes me feel sad, but it makes me feel happy that I get to help somebody if they're in an uncomfortable situation or like they're being challenged at something they don't really know how to handle. So, yeah.
Awesome. I just want to follow up question about this, more specific to like girls and gender diverse people. I find that this is something that kind of happens, and I'm sure Melanie has felt that way too, where sometimes you can see a girl or a gender diverse person in like an awkward situation where like someone is hitting on them or someone has said something rude, it seems like they don't know somebody, but that person, you know, is still talking to them. A lot of times, because we recognize that same fear, we can kind of be like stuck in that fear and like not want to do anything because we feel like we'll end up in a bad spot. Recently, I had seen a video of a girl. She saw someone across the street, a girl she didn't know, and a guy was talking to her, and it was so late at night. Did you see this too? She basically comes outside and she pretends that that's her friend. And she's like, hey girl, who's this? And the guy's like, oh, I'm whoever, you know, whatever. And she's like, okay, well, we're getting out of here. Our Uber is waiting or whatever. And so like, there are little ways that we can stick up for people. And I think especially right now, like in New York, so much anti-Asian sentiment has been going around. It's really important. I think we discuss that. Like, what do you do when you see someone who needs help? Yes, Kiara.
In my job, they have this thing where like a lot of elders of the Asian community, some of the people that can, we volunteer to like walk home with them, take the public transportation so they feel more safe. So that's something we're doing or we're trying to do if we have the time and it's safe because of COVID. But I feel like it's really scary to be in such a situation like that where like, you know, you want to help somebody because you know the fear, you know the situation, but at the same time you're scared that what might happen to you. And I feel like it's such a big challenge to really take that step forward and make that decision of I'm going to go and I'm going to help that person because that person needs me right now. Whatever comes after is going to be all right because I know that I help her. It's like, if you don't do anything, you might later on realize and regret the fact that you didn't help that person. You might wonder what might have happened with that person that I didn't help when they needed me. So I feel like everything is unknown. Like you don't know what's every time we leave our houses or we walk outside, it's definitely we walking into the unknown because we don't know what's gonna happen. So I feel like sometimes we just gotta take that step forward because it's the right thing to do and just see what's next.
Yeah.
I have two thoughts on that. Yeah, I think first of all, absolutely, if we can help someone and we can see a way to help someone, I think it's important to check in with yourself and say, am I okay to go and help this person? And sometimes, like if I were to see a man talking to a woman in a way that's uncomfortable, I might feel triggered by that, and I might feel like I'm not going to be able to keep my composure. I'm not going to be able to be strong. And so maybe it's actually not helpful for that person for me to step in because I might not be able to handle it. But what can you do, right? You can call someone else. You can go into a bodega and say, hey, can we go together to help this person? Or, you can, I think there's a lot of ways that you can do that. And I also just want to say, since people are listening to this podcast, just while we have your ears, do what you can to help people whenever you can. And we especially want to think about the Asian American community in New York City and all of the hateful things that are happening and the crimes that are happening around the country around that. We want to be able to be there for them. So thank you, Kiara, for all of those really intelligent and really caring thoughts that you have.
But that made me realize that there's a certain limit of how much you can help someone when you don't know them. So that's why I love being a part of the other side, because the more people that we've gotten to know, the more equipped we are to help all the various kinds of people that there are in the world. A lot of times, not only can you be stuck by your fear, but stuck by just not knowing, does this person want me to help them? What should I do? So the more people we learn about, the more we enrich our minds and make friendships, the more we can be there for people. Yes, Kiara, please tell us.
That.
I remember like a few weeks ago, it was one of my friend's birthday. Was going to get a gift. We was walking down the street, and there's this lady. She had like this little card, like with waters, like a thing of water, and she's staring at us like she's walking down, but she always turning around and looking at me and my mom. And I asked my mom like, does she like, like why she look at us like what's going on? And then when she gets to her building, she asked me and my mom if we could help her like take the little cart upstairs. And it's like we never seen this lady before, like we don't know her, but it was a scary situation because it's like she's telling us like to go upstairs, and it's like yeah. And me and my mom just help her with the car, and we take it upstairs. And then when I'm walking down the stairs, it's like this feeling of I'm glad I was able to help somebody. It's that happiness that you get when you know that you got to help somebody that needed you. And it's just that thank you that they give you of like thank you so much for like for your help. That is just I don't think there's anything else that can make you so happy than being able to help somebody in need.
And that's exactly what Laltesh was saying today. That feeling of happiness that she has from helping that little boy who was being bullied by some other boys was like a very specific type of happiness that's different from another kind of happiness, where it's the happiness of knowing that you can help someone who needs your help. And that's what great that you have that story too, because I think that is a universal thing. It doesn't matter where you come from, what country you come from, what culture you come from, what city you come from. There is something about just holding the door open for someone, and then they say thank you, and just like you just know you've helped someone. So thank you for sharing that, Kiara. Sometimes with the other side, we have to do things over again because we have students and people from all over the world, and Laltesh had some internet issues. So we're doing this session to kind of make up for the lost time that we had last time. So you might see different clothes and a different background, a different time of day. So now it's the morning for Laltesh and it's the evening for me. Did anyone or anything inspire you to have a higher self-esteem?
Actually, I don't know this question answers clearly. Uh, as per my knowledge, in the village, many women give example of my. She is a girl. She is also do education as well and home tools also. But I don't know particularly who guys have inspired me.
So you know self-esteem, right? You know what that means? So so maybe you can talk about are there any teachers from Pardada Pardadi or anyone in your life who's older than you? Maybe you're someone who's elder to you, your sister or your older students, who has inspired you to feel good about yourself? Like what makes you feel really good about yourself?
Yeah, my old old class. You know, I jumped to 2 classes, and my old class said to me, and see, uh, these are my friends, but I am senior too because I jumped to 2 class, so I became senior to them. But I said, you call my name, not said Didi. Uh, they said, if you are in my class, we cannot see as in like motivated girl, but you are become to us like inspiring girl. You are the example. You are talented. You are also talented if you will do work like that. you also become like me, and also better than me.
So it sounds like you were actually the inspiration for others. They were inspired by you. And just to give a little bit of context, in Indian culture, if you say Didi, that translates to sister, and it's usually used for someone who's older than you, like as if
Yeah,
it's your older sister who's helping you. So it's kind of like a sign of respect to call someone Didi who's a little bit older, like a woman who's older than you. So when Laltesh is telling them, you don't have to call me Didi, you can just call me by my name, it's actually a very symbolic thing to say. It means that she's putting herself on the same level as the other students there. Not saying, you don't have to give me any title. I'm not above you. We're all on the same level. So that's very meaningful, Laltesh. That's great.
the sister, older sister, uh, with respect word, and senior to uh, me. So
Yes.
they, they also wanted to credit me like senior, but I'm not senior because I those are my classmates.
Mm. And what about did you have anyone who was your Didi, like someone who's older than you, who
Uh,
inspired you to be who you are?
uh, my my older sister also inspired me.
And your older sister, Kamlesh, is that who you're thinking of?
Yeah.
Kamlesh is also a part of our program in the other side. That's great. Okay, thank you so much for that. The last question is, how is your personality influenced by your culture?
By the culture, my personality influenced uh, to um, uh, respect to everyone and honesty and believe only reality things and issues, not any uh, um, like ideals, I statue of anywhere. You believe only real things. It give me uh, very clear and um, I can explain it.
I think I understand. Like, sometimes people tell stories which are meant to make you feel a certain way, and they're not always true. And
Mm,
sometimes people want you to believe the stories because it helps them, but not because it helps more people. And finding something that's true and that's the real facts um, can help more people understand how the world works instead of just trying to give power to one person or one group of people.
yeah.
I want to ask you something, Laltesh. So this is a little different from what's your community. That's one question is what's your community? But my question for you is, what is your culture? What would you consider as your culture?
I consider my culture is reality things with nature.
With nature.
I never believe any religions and any casteism.
Mhm.
I see everyone in equal eyes,
Mm.
one culture.
So usually when we talk about culture, it's referring to like American culture or Indian culture, or you could say like a city culture or a rural culture. And for me, my culture has to do with my religion, which is Jewish. I don't really believe in the religion, but I have a culture. My family is Jewish, and so we have a certain kind of culture in our family. And so that's really special that you feel like nature is your culture, because that's really actually the culture of all human beings, right?
Absolutely.
We're all a part of nature.
Nature also consider everything, human beings, insects, animals, everything, and consider in culture and nature.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
As you know, India has very, very rich culture, and every state has very different culture, wearing clothes, food, makeups, and
Language.
all language, and so many things there. And crops also different.
But the thing that we all share, which is the same, right, is nature. Is we all need to eat. We all need sunshine. We all need to drink water. We all need to exercise, right?
Exercise, we are combination of 5 elements. Our body also, which is very important for everyone, human beings, animals, trees,
I
and
love
little
that.
insects.
I also feel like now I can consider nature to be my culture as well. I'll think about it that way. Okay, thank you.
I'm Kiara, and I just want to say that, Laltesh, it was a pleasure meeting you. I had so much fun learning about you and some of your experiences, and I hope we get to do this again. And to anyone listening out there, remember that you are your own person, and only you can define yourself and write your own story.
Hi, Kiara. I really feel very nicely to meet you on last meetings. Um, I really happy to see you on the Zoom classes, and I wish you always keep a smile and to live health and wealthy, because smile has a spiritual power to see to remove all negative emotions.
But thank you so much for being here. This was awesome. Anytime I talk to you or like my other side students, I literally feel like I'm talking to some of my best friends. So I'm just so glad. I love hearing from you and hearing what you have to say.
I had so much. It was definitely. I'm glad. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Kiara. Thank you for being here, for having a smile on your face, and for having your infectious positivity. Really, we can feel it through the screen. This podcast is thanks to listeners like you. Listen in on our website, theothersidenyc.org, Spotify, or YouTube for full episodes of the Sisterhood podcast. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.